Meeting of order at 5:04. Okay, welcome everyone to the October 15th, 2025 regular meeting of the Richmond Rent Board. As a courtesy to others, we ask that you please silence your cell phones or any type of noise devices. Also, a few reminders regarding public comments. Individuals who would like to address the board, a request to speak card must be given to the assistant clerk before the announcement of the item. If you would like to speak on an item not listed on the agenda or on the consent calendar, you must do so under public forum. Please refer to the Rent Board meeting agenda for the list of items or the agenda items list open for public comment posted above the table located in front of the chambers. Since this board meeting is not interpreted, we can go forward to the first item, which is Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The next item on the agenda is roll call. For the purpose of the recording, may I please get an audible roll call from Rent Board members and staff? Board Member Height,
Here.
Board Member Willis,
Here.
Vice Chair Cantor,
Here.
Chair Tipton,
Here.
Executive Director Nicholas Traylor,
Here.
Deputy Director Fred Tran,
Here.
and General Counsel Charles Oshanuga.
Here.
For the record, Board Member Espinoza is absent. The next item on the agenda is Statement of Conflict of Interest. Are there any? Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is agenda review. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Are there any changes to the agenda from staff?
No changes from staff.
Are there any changes to the agenda from board members? Nope.
Okay, hearing none. The next item on the agenda is public forum. Tonight we have two speakers. Each speaker shall be allowed up to 4 minutes to address the board. When your name is called, when you are called to address the board, state your name and city of residence is optional. Please terminate your address to the board when your time expires. We ask that you keep your comments respectful and appropriate. The first speaker is Mr. Cordell Handler.
Thank you. So
Yeah,
good
4
evening,
minutes.
Chair Tipton, board members. I'm Cordell Hendler, and I'm a Richmond resident. So I was watching the meeting from the September 30th meeting, and I was kind of under the impression that the parties were they didn't slow down, and I was like, it was hard for the interpreter for them to slow down. So in the future, when we do have hearings, so can you remind both the legal for both sides to speak slowly, and because it's like it was hard for the interpreter to go slow down, and it's like and then the second part is like they need to that the lawyers need to use legal language, not acronyms, just legal. So that's just food for thought for next time. But I saved the good news for last. So coming up on the 24th is you're all invited to the Council of Industries boat tour from 1 to 5 at the Harbor Masters building. But you do have to RSVP ahead. It's going to be a lot of fun, and let's see what else is coming up. Coming up is on December the 4th, you're all invited to the Contra Costa Mayor's Conference is hosted by the city of Pinole, and I'll get more information next month. But you do have to RSVP ahead, and dinner is only $70 per person. They will have some food, maybe some hot cocoa, who knows? And let's see what else. Because it was so nice to see the former board members that came last month. It was impressive. I was like, they have served their time on this body, and I'm like, this is amazing. So I'm hopefully that they ought to come back more often, and that's just pretty much it. Next speaker.
The next speaker is Monique Taylor. You have 4 minutes to address the board.
Okay. Hi, my name is Monique Taylor. I was born and raised in Richmond, and I invested in Richmond over 40 years ago. So I'm going to state that, and then I bought property here. I built and sold houses in the city of Richmond, and I think that the way things are going now with this rent board situation is terrible. I've had nothing but an unpleasant, relationship with the rent board. They come into your house, the inspectors come into your apartments. They don't respect the tenants. They try to rack up unnecessary charges. It's ridiculous. And they visited my apartment, which I didn't know at the time that they were only supposed to come every 3 years. They came to my place within 18 months of the last visit there. So that's totally inappropriate. My husband feels as though that they're ICE of the Richmond inspection program. They're
Without the mask.
Yeah, without the mask. Yeah, but they're very difficult to work with. Most of the things that they find and write up is based on the tenant. So, and then when they come back, they don't do anything about what the tenant was supposed to do. So there's just so many things that we can go through the list. They visited 9 of our units, and they didn't come back to fix anything that the tenant had to improve. And most of the things that needed to be improved was on the tenant. The things that they got me on was screens for the windows that were originally there when the tenant moved in. So I had to replace them, which is I did, and I charged the tenant for them because they were there when they moved in. But the point of it is that they're picking on people, and I feel as though that it's harassment at this point. And I'm not quite sure what their rules and regulations are on what they're supposed to be doing. I could give you a stack of things that they have went through that are just unfair. They revisit things. They go to the unit 1 year. The next year, they want you to put in GFI. Well, GFI at the end of the sink that's 8 feet away, why are we putting a GFI there? That's crazy. The building didn't change. They're just trying to find things that they can write up a return visit on, I think. So I'm not quite sure how you represent me. You represent the tenant very well, but I'm paying you guys almost $3,800 a year. You've done nothing for me. So how do we resolve that? So, I mean, what do we do? How do you do? My husband has not paid any of the excess fees, revisiting fees, because he goes straight down to the city of Richmond and showed them and proved to them what they've done wrong, and they wipe the charge off. They want to go into, I have a tenant who's been in my apartment 20 years. He's a sick man. They tried to bulldoze their way into them until he stops them and said, hey, look, he does not want you in his apartment. You're not going in there. Yes, I am. I have the right to do this.
If I can interrupt her for a second, you have 26 seconds. Basically, the gentleman's sick. He's been to the apartment 3 times for the visits. He didn't enter the apartment because the paperwork at the city was wrong versus my paperwork on the address, which we've had this building for over 30 years. I explained it to the gentleman. He says, well, I cannot go into this building because of the paperwork not right. I said, well, he's available now, and I've done my inspection before you all come in. And the reason why I have to do my inspection before you all come in, because I have tenants who will turn off their pilot on their heater.
Sorry, sir, your time has expired.
Well, I thought, okay.
You have 4 minutes to address the
You
board.
should have filled out one as well. Yeah. But the bottom line is, my time is up. Your board is not representative of the money that we pay. And I feel as though at this point, I need some representation. I know you have your legal person here. You have your representative for the rent board.
Thank you. The time has
What
expired.
do I do? That's what I want to know.
What I
I
was,
have paperwork also.
Sir?
Somebody want to view it where you have to have someone to sign to make sure they don't turn off their pilot light. Because you got
Let's see
to
what they said, because at this point.
Yes, sir.
2 things. and legal can correct me if I'm wrong, but during public comment, if we don't respond, it's because we're legally obligated not to. But what I was going to suggest for you, because you do have more to say, is as an individual, please speak out a speaker's card, then you can get 4 minutes to go over any other details that was not missed in your comment. So I was going to say, could you please fill out a speaker card and take your time as an individual?
Sure, my wife will do it.
Thank you.
Can I continue on, or?
I'm sorry. A small offline chat, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, the chair.
Procedurally, he's filling it out now.
Yes, and I also have to announce the name for the record, so,
My name is David Taylor.
okay.
Thank you.
So let me clarify the record. We had 3 public speakers. The last speaker is
David Taylor?
David Taylor. You have 4 minutes to address the board.
Yes, well, I'll make it real short, but the bottom line is that, you know, I'm 70 years old, cancer patient, so I have to have someone I pay to do my inspection before you all come in to make sure everything is correct, that the screen is there on. And anybody who has apartment buildings, people do certain things. They'll make a hole in the screen to throw out a piece of paper or their own personal use. That's on us when you all come in. So it's fine. Far as this letter here, it's very important because I can't get on my knees and light the pilot each time, but you guys will write me up, and that's a $135 fine if that pilot light's not lit. I know it's lit when I come in there because I make sure, but when I come back the following week or 4 days later, they may turn it off. So now I have to have a list to show the gentleman, and they'll still write it up. And I say, hey, he turned it off. I'll have pictures of showing things. I'll have pictures also showing this. And the last thing is that if you all come in and write a tenant up, and then you will turn around and say, the bottom line is up to you to fix it or get it done, such as hoarding. You know, I have a problem with that. I'm no one's parents. I can't make someone clean up their place. I go to the city and tell the city the problem I have, and they said, there's nothing I can do. But then again, you guys will write me up for it. You'll write me up for that. And I have proof of letters showing $135 because they didn't move their bed, because it blocked the window. You know? So that's, you know.
Well, yeah, just the point of it is bed blocking the window. It's an apartment, and they have a king-size bed in an apartment. So where do you put the bed? So the bed is actually a ladder to get to the window. So I don't understand, why would you write someone up for that? You see the size of the room. They have a large bed in a small room. They have to move the bed? Are you serious? It's on the second floor?
And then the last thing is that I would like to know if someone can answer. I'll come to my the next meeting. The gentleman told me they do 100% inspection on all the properties, because I said, why are you coming to my property so often? And he said, we're doing 100% on all apartments. And by the way, I don't have any Section 8, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I can understand Section 8 inspections because us taxpayers are paying for it. But if I have a tenant who's lived in there for 20 plus years and paid their own rent, and if there's a problem, they call me. And believe me, I don't want no water damage. I don't want nothing to catch on fire. I like to have the smoke detector work. I like to have a carbon monoxide. I like to have all that stuff that this program was set up for. But if we're not getting support on the other end, and we're not no one's parent, and we come to you and tell you all about it at the city, and they say, hey, there's nothing to do, or they walk away. Wait a minute, you charged me $135 for this reinspection, and you just walk away? That's it.
Well, one last question, I guess, is that who are the representatives for the landlords? Are you guys representing the tenants only? It's 4 of you folks here. Do you represent the landlords in these disputes or in these cases? I'm just trying to see, where do we go from here? What is my next step? Because at this point, I feel as though you control me and you don't have any of the responsibility of paying the taxes, paying the mortgage, paying whatever else is involved. You get your money, you try to, try to scam as much as you can off the top, and so be it. My time's up.
Thank you very much. I want to follow up on what Board Member Willis said, which is that we're not able to respond substantively right now, but thank you for your
So
comment.
you're not able to respond now? That's what, I just want to know what the process is. If you're not able to respond, what is my option? To do what? I get up here and complain, and then I go back home and I say nothing?
Staff, can I ask you to follow up on that, or General Counsel Shaniga?
Yeah, just on it's Charles Oshiniga. Thank you, Chair Tipton. Just on the legal side of things, this is the Richmond Rent Board, and I know it's kind of confusing. There's a lot of people who have been confused. The Richmond Rental Inspection Program is not administered by this board, nor has it been passed by this board. This board has no authority over the program. No one on staff or related to this board administers that program. I think it would, the entity that has the responsibility of overseeing that program is the city council. So I think your public comments would be better received at the city council. And I think it's housed in the housing department, but I'm not entirely
It's
sure.
housed in the Community Development Department.
I spoke to the housing people over here in one building, and then sent me over to George and the permit and inspection department. And then George said there's all kind of problems because we know about it. And I called the young lady who's doing the inspection, and Hayward, who's in charge of all this, and she won't tell me who to call.
It's sort of a nightmare that you guys, I
She
don't
won't
know,
tell me who her boss is.
the city thing or rent board thing or whatever it is, it's created nothing but a havoc and chaos. And like I said, I've been in the city of Richmond with property over 4 years. I have a property in Oakland, and I don't have this problem like that in Oakland. So I don't know what to do. We're frustrated, and we're good people. We take care of our property. And we want, like, as he said, we want the best thing for our property. We own it.
So I can assure you all that the Richmond Rent Board is not the entity because we have no authority over what the city council does at all. We do something entirely different than the inspections. We do no inspections. None of our staff does inspections. I think this particular ordinance is housed in community development. That would probably be your best place to start. Community development. That's where the ordinance is housed. That's who is responsible for administering that ordinance. And go ahead, Mr. Trailer.
General Counsel.
Oh, yes.
Is it still quorum if I step off the board just to talk to them offline about where they could potentially go? Because I know this is Brown Act territory and we have to abide by a process. So if I stepped off board, would the board still have quorum?
Yes, they would. But I mean, if you want another option, probably much cleaner, is just to take a 5-minute recess and have you speak to whoever you want.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
You can vote for it. You can do an oral vote, make a motion.
There's a motion for a 5-minute recess.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, we'll reconvene at. We need to vote. Sorry. We're in uncharted procedural
So
territory.
who made a motion first?
I'll move.
Okay. And then second.
Seconded by Willis.
Okay, let me take a quick vote. Board Member Height?
Yes.
Board Member Willis?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cantor?
Yes.
And Chair Tipton?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes to take a 5-minute recess, to return at what? At 5:30? 5:29 or 5:30? Yeah. Go ahead. Oh, 5:29, okay, thank you. Okay.
Meeting reconvened at 5:29.
All right, that was the last of the speakers. The next item on the agenda is to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a motion to approve, or is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar.
Board Member Willis
Do we have a second? Second?
and Board Member Height. Okay, Board Member Height, I'll take a vote. Board Member Height,
Yes.
Board Member Willis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cantor,
Yes.
and Chair Tipton.
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Espinosa absent. We're now moving to item G1 under Rent Board as a whole. Item G1 is to, 1, direct staff to collaborate with the City Attorney's Office and City of Richmond staff to draft ordinance language consistent with existing city lien policy and procedures. 2, direct staff to return to the Rent Board with a draft proposed ordinance for possible approval and recommendation to City Council. There are no speakers on this item.
Thank you. We will now hear the staff report.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Tipton, members of the Rent Board. Tonight, we are presenting a proposal for the adoption of a Rent Board specific lien ordinance. Tonight's issue is that in accordance with the rent ordinance, the rent program's budget is funded through the residential rental housing fee paid by Richmond landlords. The fee is designed to allow the rent program to recover program costs of all budgeted operations. Adopting a lien policy would give the rent program an additional tool to recover these unpaid fees by establishing a lien against the property, also strengthening our financial stability and independence while aligning with the City of Richmond's existing lien procedures. So when fees go unpaid, the burden of cost recovery increases for those landlords who are compliant and threatens the stability of the program's budget long term. By adopting a lien ordinance similar to the city's, the rent program can improve fee collection efficiency and ensure fairness. This approach also aligns with the cooperation agreement reached earlier this year, which outlines coordination between the rent program, Rent Board, and the city while maintaining the program's independent authority. In terms of the goals of a lien ordinance, a Rent Board specific lien ordinance would achieve the following key goals. First, it would streamline enforcement by embedding lien authority directly into our existing workflow. It would boost compliance by giving property owners a strong incentive to pay outstanding fees before liens are recorded. It would protect the rent program's revenue stream, ensuring timely fee collection and predictable budgeting. It would also leverage our cooperation agreement by enabling the agreed revenue sharing of 90% to the Rent Board and 10% to the city. And finally, it would clarify roles and provide due process defining the Rent Board's enforcement authority while ensuring owners have a right to appeal. To be an effective and fair policy, a Rent Board lien policy must include several important features. First, it should clearly establish statutory authority for the board to assess liens, while at the same time coordinating with the City Council for any necessary ordinance amendments. Second, it should include penalties, interest, and any administrative costs, ensuring that fees, penalties, and staff time are recoverable. Third, it must include clear notice and cure procedures that provide due process, sending initial delinquency notices, then a 30-day notice before recordation, with an opportunity to appeal. Next slide. Additional key features include coordination with the county recorder to ensure liens are properly recorded and released upon payment. A cost recovery mechanism would also be important so compliant landlords don't subsidize the cost of collection. Reporting and oversight requiring periodic updates to the rent board on lien activity and collections. And finally, confidentiality and tenant protections, so making sure that liens attach only to the property's owner interest and never be associated with tenants, and making sure that communications make that distinction clear. So to design a rent program specific lien process, it's important to understand how the city's process currently works. Under Richmond Municipal Code sections 7.04.410 through 7.04.680, after an internal collection efforts are exhausted, the city can assess a debt as a lien against the property. Property owners are given notice and the opportunity for a hearing before the city council. If the council confirms the lien, it becomes a special assessment on the property tax bill collected through the county assessors. After council approval, the lien is recorded with the Contra Costa County recorder and remains until the debt is paid. The city may also audit or redetermine amounts owed, ensuring accuracy and compliance. Property owners retain the right to appeal through the city's administrative process. And once all appeals are resolved, unpaid debts are formally recorded as liens and added to the property tax roll for collection. So the proposed rent program lien process would follow similar principles but be administered independently by the board. First, staff would conduct standard collection efforts. And we go through a 30, 60-day, and 90-day notice invoice period. And if still unpaid, then a final 30-day pre-lien notice would be issued. Accounts would then be deemed delinquent, and a list of potential liens would be generated by the executive director for legal review. This process ensures that property owners receive ample notice and an opportunity to resolve their debt or appeal it. So after legal review, the executive director would issue a lien decision, which may be appealed to a hearing officer. Once the appeals process concludes, staff would present a final recommended lien list to the rent board for approval. The approved list would then be sent to the city manager and finance director for inclusion in the city's annual lien list. Following city council approval, liens would be recorded with the county and owners would be notified. And upon full payment or partial payment under an approved plan, the lien would be released. So just to conclude, adopting a rent board specific lien ordinance is a prudent and necessary step to strengthen the program's financial foundation. It ensures equitable treatment of all property owners, provides a fair and transparent process for enforcement, and protects the program's ability to fund its operations. Staff recommend collaborating with the city to develop ordinance language consistent with the city's procedures and return to the board for review and recommendation to the city council. Next slide, please. So the implementation roadmap includes 5 steps. The first step is for the board to approve a policy framework and direct staff collaboration between the rent program and the city. The second step would be legal review by the city attorney and rent program general counsel for whatever policy is approved by the board and recommended to the council. Then the third step would be for the council to consider the proposed ordinance The fourth step would be operational preparation. In other words, once the ordinance is adopted, staff would work on developing the forms, workflows, training, and other enforcement mechanisms. And then finally, implementation and monitoring with annual reporting to the board would be conducted. So the recommended action for the board to take is to direct staff to collaborate with the city attorney's office and City of Richmond staff to draft ordinance language consistent with existing city lien policy and procedures, and direct staff to return to the rent board with a draft proposed ordinance for possible approval and recommendation to the city council. And with that, Fred and I are ready for any questions the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions from members of the board? Yes.
When, I'm still unclear, I know I talked to you yesterday about this, but I'm still unclear. So once it goes to the city, then they talk to the county, and then, but we have another, we can talk to the county as well, or the rent board can talk to the county as well?
No, the city council would approve the liens after the board recommends those liens to the city council. If they're approved by the city council, then they would be recorded with the county and then assessed to the property tax rolls.
Okay,
So-
but so the property owner then negotiates with the rent board, right? Or do they negotiate with the county at that point?
At that point, they would be negotiating with the county, is that correct? Or it depends, I'm not sure.
Well, once it's a special assessment, there is no negotiation. It appears on your property tax roll, and you pay it as part of your property taxes. And then the city collects the money owed to it that came as in the form as a special assessment. They give us 90% of that, and they receive 10%.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Seeing no further questions, Madam Clerk, please call public speakers, if any.
There's no speakers on this item.
Is there a motion?
I will move the recommended action as presented by Director Traylor.
That was Board Member Willis,
I'll second.
and that was Vice Chair Cantor. Okay, I'll take a quick vote. Board Member Height,
Yes.
Board Member Willis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Cantor,
Yes.
and Chair Tipton.
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Espinosa absent. And we're moving to item H for reports of officers. Any? You have one? Okay.
Well, given what just happened today at our public comment, and I myself, for the record, have been getting notices to my house to do an inspection directed to the landlord or whoever is above 18. At some point, might be good to figure out like what's the best communication with the implementation of this inspection ordinance, because I don't think it's going to be an isolated incident, and they are consistently showing up. So it might be good to try to get on the same page with the city about how to go about this so there's a clear path if there's any grievances.
Duly noted, thank you.
Meeting adjourned at 5:44 p.m.
Thank you.